Hello, everyone. Enjoy these relaxing yet powerful stories of resilience and triumph. A man at the pool told her to pack up and leave because he thought she didn't belong there. What he didn't know, she'd lived there for nearly a decade, and she's also the chief of police. Patrice Holman didn't need much. A folded lounge chair, good pair of sunglasses, and a day with no calls from dispatch. That was all she'd ask for. After 3 straight weeks of back-to-back shifts and enough internal meetings to make anyone question their career choice, this Saturday felt like the first real breath she'd taken in a while. It was just past noon when she stepped out her back door, sliding on a pair of sandals and cradling a water bottle under her arm. She lived in a small gated community in Temecula, California. Quiet, middle income, mostly families, retirees, and a few tech folks who liked the suburbs. She'd lived here for over 9 years, bought the house outright, knew every board member of the HOA by name. So when she walked the short distance down to the shared pool, she felt like she belonged, because she did. Patrice wasn't in uniform. She was off duty, and it showed. Her long-sleeved tee hung loose over black capri joggers, and her hair was tied up in a quick bun. No makeup, no badge. She looked like someone's tired mom, and that was exactly what she wanted. Normals. She stepped through the iron gate and waved at the lifeguard, a college kid named Luis, who'd greeted her a dozen times before. He gave her a nod and a "Good afternoon, Miss Holman." She smiled, found a chair near the shallow end, and sat down with a quiet sigh. The pool was only half full. A couple of older couples were reading paperbacks. Kids splashed near the edge, and a young mom in a sundress was trying to coax her toddler into floaties.
It was peaceful, warm, still. Patrice closed her eyes for a moment. She wasn't thinking about work. Not about the officer who'd filed a late report. Not about the new recruits she was supposed to evaluate. Not about the politics from City Hall. Just the sun, the occasional burst of laughter, the rhythmic splashing of water. If this story already has you thinking, do us a favor. Tap the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe to RVM Black Struggles for more real stories that resonate. Minutes passed. She wasn't asleep, just resting. Then footsteps once, coming closer. She opened her eyes slowly. A tall white man in khaki shorts and a tucked-in polo shirt was standing not far from her chair. He wasn't smiling, wasn't holding a towel, didn't look like someone enjoying a day at the pool. He looked like someone looking for a problem. "Excuse me," he said, his voice laced with polite sarcasm. "Do you live here?" She blinked, sat up slightly. "Yeah, I do." "Really?" he replied, folding his arms across his chest. "Because I've never seen you here before. This pool's for residents only." Patrice studied him. No one else seemed to notice the conversation yet. She looked him over, newly printed HOA pamphlet peeking out of his pocket. Not a drop of sweat on him. Maybe this was his first summer here. "I live 3 houses down," she said calmly. "Been here almost a decade." He gave a short laugh, the kind that was less about humor and more about disbelief. "Right, and you just happened to wander in." "No," she replied, still seated. "I used the gate like everyone else."
The man's jaw tightened slightly. "You know, we've had some issues with people sneaking in from outside. You'd understand why I have to say something." Patrice took her head. "What's your name?" He hesitated for a beat. Dennis Whitlow. I just moved in last month, and I take the rules pretty seriously." She nodded slowly. "Well, Dennis, I live here. If you'd like to check the HOA directory, you'll find me listed. Patrice Holman." He didn't move. Instead, he looked over his shoulder like he expected someone to back him up. No one was paying attention yet. The young mom was still trying to negotiate with her toddler. Louise, the lifeguard, had earbuds in. The pool might have been half full, but in that moment, it felt like it was just the two of them. What would you have done in Patrice's shoe? Drop a comment below.
comment 1 if you support how she handled it, 0 if you disagree. And if you're just here to listen and reflect, then do the one thing that matters. Subscribe to RVM Black Struggles and keep these conversations going. Dennis took a small step closer, still standing tall, still wearing that smug look of someone who thought he was catching someone in the act. "You don't have a key fob on you," he pointed out. "It's in my bag," she replied, not offering to prove it. He looked her over, his eyes narrow. "I'm going to call the HOA board and report this."
If you believe stories like this need to be heard, not hidden, hit the share button. Someone in your circle might need this reminder of grace, strength, and how to lead without raising your voice. She shrugged lightly. "You're welcome." He opened his mouth like he had more to say, but nothing came out. But Patrice could already tell. This wasn't about rules. This was about assumptions. And Dennis wasn't quite finished making them. Dennis didn't walk away. Instead, he stood his ground like a security guard on a power trip. Patrice knew this posture. She'd seen it too many times in too many forms. On sidewalks, at school meetings, even inside courtrooms. It was the posture of someone who'd already decided who you were and didn't expect to be wrong. "I just think it's odd," he continued, now pacing slightly, "that I've been here a whole month and I've never seen you once. You'd think neighbors would have run into each other by now." Patrice leaned back in her chair. "Or maybe you've just been looking in the wrong direction." That didn't sit well with him. He let out a quick scoff. "Right. Look, you can make this easy, or we can call security and figure it out that way." She didn't move. "Dennis, I told you I live here." His voice got sharper. "I don't need attitude. And I don't need to be interrogated at my own pool," she said calmly, her eyes never leaving his face.
There was a pause. The air around them was still relaxed, but the conversation had a weight. Now a few people started to glance over. Not stare, just flickers of attention. That's all it takes sometimes. Dennis gestured toward her bag. "So why not just show me your FOB then?" "Because I don't owe you anything," she replied. "I'm not about to prove something to a man who decided I don't belong here before I even said a word." That struck a muscle, and his jaw twitched, but he stayed on script. "You're making this harder than it needs to be. If you have nothing to hide, then what?" She cut in. "You'll let me stay?" He hesitated, surprised that she'd spoken up so directly. Patrice wasn't angry, not yet. But she spent over 25 years in law enforcement. She trained officers in conflict de-escalation. She knew exactly what Dennis was doing, trying to control the narrative, force compliance, make her smaller so he could feel taller. "I don't need your permission," she added.